What's up, barbecue crew? Welcome back to Outdoors with Geoff. Today we're going to be cooking a boneless leg of lamb. Now, I tend to like rack of lamb or lamb chops, but today we're going to tackle this leg. And we're going to keep the seasonings really traditional. And we're going to start off by getting a good bit of avocado oil on there. And then we're going to come back and we're going to get some Fiesta brand's garlic pepper seasoning on there for the SPG base. And a lot of folks go with rosemary and thyme, and I'm going to go ahead and use the herbs de Provence, which has a little bit of both in there, and some other herbs as well. Now today I'm going to be cooking on the Akorn Jr, and we're going to be rolling at 275 degrees. I'm using B&B oak lump charcoal along with some maple and cherry wood chunks for extra flavor. But enough talking, let's get to the cook. So I'm going to start by taking this netting off. I don't like it in the aspect of when you're done with the cook and you take it off, you lose a lot of your seasoning. So I'm going to take this off here and we're going to do something a little different here in the end. Next, I'm coming back and I'm just going to go ahead and start getting some of this silver skin off and some of this excess fat. And this process can take a little bit of time, but it's worth it for this cut of meat. This particular piece has some really good internal marbling, and even right here, this is some more of that hard fat that won't render down that I was talking about earlier. And next, I'm going to come back with some avocado oil and get a good amount on there because this is going to be a good binder for the rubs that we're going to use. And you want to make sure and get down inside that bone cavity, and we're going to flip and do the same thing on the back side and give it a good rub. Next, I'm coming back with a good dose of Fiesta brand's garlic pepper seasoning. That's our SPG for this cook, and it's going to impart a lot of good flavor. Go heavy with it. And next, I'm coming back with the herbs de Provence, and we're putting a good amount on here as well. This is going to bring a lot of flavor, and it's going to form a nice crust on this piece of lamb. And we're doing the same thing on the back side, making sure you get a good, decent coat on there. And at this point, I'm going ahead and tying this leg of lamb back into a roast. And I'm using the rubber butcher twine that's almost just like rubber bands. And I'm gonna put about 5 of these on here just to get this thing wrapped up and held together tight. And we're just gonna form this into the shape that we want it to be. And you wanna try and get this as even as possible because it can affect your cooking time and temperature. And you can see we got the Akorn Jr at 275 degrees. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and get the grate off. And we're going to put in some maple wood and some cherry wood as well. And for this cook, I'm going to be using the heat deflector. And on top of that, I'm going to be putting a drip pan. And in there, I put a mixture of Worcestershire, balsamic vinegar, some water, garlic powder, and onion powder. And that's going to keep a little bit of moisture in this cook as well. And we've let that grill heat back up, and you can see we got some good smoke rolling, so it's time to get this leg of lamb on. And we've got a nice bit of seasoning on there, and that's going to form a great crust for us. And we're going to let this cook for 1 hour before we do anything to it. And our hour is up. And this is what we're looking like. We're starting to get some really good color on here. And in temping, I was in between 99 degrees and 105 degrees across the whole leg. And here I'm basting with some more of that mixture that we had. And after this, we're just going to let this cook until we reach our internal nearing 140 degrees. And the app alerted me that we were nearing 140 degrees and it was time to take the leg off. And this is what we ended up with. All right, guys, another cook in the books. Let's have a quick recap of what we did. We started with a 6-pound leg of lamb that we trimmed up, and then we coated it with the avocado oil and seasoned it with Fiesta brand's garlic pepper seasoning and some herbs of Provence. We then set up the acorn by lighting some B&B oak lump charcoal and getting the temperature up to 275 degrees for the cook. And right before we started our cook, we put in a couple of maple and cherry wood chunks. We let the lamb cook for an hour, and then we basted it, and then we ended up letting it run until we reached the internal of 140 degrees, and then we pulled it off, and here we are. So at this point, guys, I can say I'm very satisfied with this cook. I changed direction mid-ship and went ahead and pulled at 140 instead of 145, just because I didn't want one of my ends to get a little bit more done than the other part. And it was the right call to make that change. But this smells fantastic, and I'm gonna just go ahead and dig in. I can't wait anymore. Here, we've got a nice bit of a smoke ring too. I can tell this is gonna be good. That's tender. That's full of moisture, and the simple flavors with that SPG and the herbs of Provence really sets this apart. You get a nice bit of crust from the herbs on the outside, and I tell you what, that acorn did its job. That is why the acorn is probably my favorite cooker out of all the ones that I'm using, and probably out of all the grills that I've ever had. It's just so versatile, and it delivers every time. Give this a try. Don't be afraid of lamb. Don't be afraid of a whole leg of lamb. It tapers a little bit, but you just got to be mindful of that smaller end. But this is fantastic. This is gonna be some good eating for a few days here. But that's all I got. Thanks for watching, and be sure to leave a comment and let me know what you thought of the cook. All right, guys, thanks for watching this episode of Outdoors with Geoff. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications when more content comes out, and also check out these videos here on the channel as well.